two things. So welcome along. I will start again. So this is basically being broadcast now live on Instagram, and also I'm recording it to go on YouTube, and it's going on my Facebook business page as well, because not a lot of people know about me that I'm actually an advanced stress management practitioner. I qualified with a diploma, a high national diploma in this, so it's not like I've got a degree in it, but I did study this. It was about 15 years ago, 15 years ago, and the reason I actually decided to do this was because my dad had just died, and basically I made the decision that I wanted to sort of learn how to cope with stress, because obviously at that sort of a time in your life, it's a very difficult time to be going through for anybody. And I was always that sort of person that I would describe myself as a bit of a volcano when it comes to emotions. I'm generally pretty easygoing. I'm generally quite a happy person. But then when I go, I really go. And I wanted to, I didn't have, like probably a lot of people when you lose a parent, I didn't have an easy time of it. Of course I didn't. And, I found myself locking my feelings away, and it was causing me all sorts of turmoil inside. So I decided to do, amongst other things, I did a nutrition course as well, herbalism. What else did I do? A couple of other things. But stress management was the one I decided to take to the advanced stage. So I spent a couple of years studying this, and it's something I've always had an interest in. So I read books about it, and I'm also, I'm just into it in general, really. So that is my background and why I decided to do this, or why I studied this. The reason I decided to do this little mini series is, hey, no real you don't have to be a genius to realize that right now a lot of us are going through a really, really stressful time. And I thought, well, why not share some of the things I've learned? So this is basically a little introduction to the series that I'm going to be running. I'm going to whack it on YouTube as well. It's going to be available here. It's, it's a no catch freebie little thing you can plug into. You might find it helpful. Some of the information you may already know, I don't know, but it might be worth a watch. So that is my background and why I'm doing this. So what I think is important to remember with stress management is it's something that is evolving all the time. As new research happens, things, people come up with new approaches all the time and new ideas how to combat stress. And I think at the moment, especially with what everyone's going through now, it's kind of even turned that on its head. So I'm sure there are going to be plenty more new approaches born from the situation we're in now. And that is a scary thing. The stats, as I understand them, are around 85% of the world are suffering stress at some point during their lives. And stress causes so many problems. You're probably aware already that stress is the reason many people go to the doctor just for things like palpitations or, just sort of disease in one way or another, not feeling themselves. It can cause anything from migraines to, right the way through to actually, sort of diseases and all sorts of other things, because ultimately it's a disruption of your body's normal function. So, that is what is going to happen there. Stress by definition is basically pressure, it's urgency, it's strain, it can actually be violence as well. It's a system of forces over an area. Now, obviously you can consider that as your mind or your body, however you want to look at it. But, the actual definition is that it's a combination of forces producing or sustaining a strain upon you. And of course, stress is actually an abbreviation of distress as well. So it's not kind of hard to figure out all of that kind of stuff. So, there have been so many technological, if I can even say the word, achievements over the last certainly over the last few decades, that as people we have changed dramatically. So, although we're the same, we're biologically the same, physiologically the same, and our actual needs and things we need on a day-to-day basis and resources, like food, shelter, water, family, wanting love from people, all this kind of stuff, that hasn't changed. But our lifestyles have changed drastically, certainly in the last 20, 30, 40, even 50 years. We haven't changed, but our basic needs haven't. But the demand that we now have and put on ourselves to consume, to control what's going on around us, to have control and to compete. And I think that's something that certainly with social media is highlighted, that thing we have of competing with what's going on online. It's not just like the caveman situation where you were competing with the people in the next cave for, to bring down some food or whatever. We are competing in certainly very, very different ways, and our brains, are still the same as they were, so in their structure. So, this is something that's really, really interesting to get your head around. And I think being successful and how you combat stress actually comes from a natural resilience that some people have. Some people don't have to learn about that. Perhaps they've got that natural resilience, you know, already. They've got strength, they've got humor in situations, and they find themselves, I suppose, if you consider stress as like a line in the sand, some people are always over that line, some people tend to sink below it. And I think that is the thing, you know, we are evolving, and our exposures as well to personal trauma, I don't know whether they're more so now, but they're certainly more talked about now. And not only personal trauma and problems, but the media being in our homes and exposing us to things that are going on all around the world are influencing us all the time. So, you know, those things do have an effect on our well-being. We are in effect suffering from a crisis in our living rooms if we just put the TV on or we listen to the radio. Now, some stress is good. Some stress on you is good. It challenges you. It's going to help you, you know, sort of with your personality. It's going to help you, you know, challenge you in all those different ways. I suppose it's like really just the general wear and tear of life. And it is invigorating. And of course, some stress will actually add spice to your life. If you're one of those people that enjoys working to targets, for example, enjoys goal setting and then puts yourself under a little bit, you know, sort of good stress, good pressure to reach those goals, that's fine. But, you know, some people are able to respond in a really positive and balanced way to stress. And that is what this little course is all about. Well, series, let's not call it a course because that sounds too official. So I'm going to do a series of videos that are hopefully going to help you and give you ideas and triggers so that you can deal with stress, become a manager of stress like me and not a victim of stress. Now, I say like me, we all have our off days. I'm not perfect. I have learned these tools. Sometimes I cannot put them into place. There are certain traumas and things that happen in our lives, personal experiences that blow all these things out the water. But it's like anything. It's like a toolkit. It's like reprogramming. So, you know, like you've got those tools there. You've got that information. If you are able to plug into it and it becomes a natural response for you, then you are just going to be more likely to be able to deal with things going forward. So, you know, if you are the sort of person that is in poor health, if you are having, you know, if you've got the knowledge to deal with things, but you're unwell, this is something that can help you going forward as well. It's like having the energy to cope. Some people just don't have the energy to cope on a daily basis with the stresses that come in. So all of these things I'm going to help you with. I'm going to help you determine, perhaps you need to improve your health, perhaps you need to improve your knowledge, perhaps you need to get more energy. All of the roots of stress that we have basically lies in the way, or rather actually lies in the way that we relate and react to our emotions. So being able to react and you know, relate to our emotions in a really positive way that we're able to manage is something that is so important. You know, it could be looking after our bodies, it could be the food we eat, it could be relationships, things at work, all of those things. We have to look within to start with, and that is what this little series is going to be about. So I'm going to try and do this probably every Thursday, I think. Join me every Thursday afternoon. I'm going to pop this on Instagram. It's on here now. It's on my stories. I'm going to share it as well to my Instagram TV. I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. So this is a little introduction. And from next week, I am going to be sharing some techniques, things you can do, books to read, all of this kind of stuff to help you be a stress manager and not a stress victim. So thank you very much for joining me. I will talk to you all soon. Any questions, drop me a message, drop me a comment, drop me a DM, PM, whatever. And yeah, I hope to talk to you guys soon. Take care for now.